Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into a really fascinating set of ideas, some source material that challenges, well, pretty much everything we think we know about building businesses and, creating value.
Yeah, it's definitely a contrarian take. The mission today is exploring what it really means to build something new, not just iterate or compete harder.
Right, moving beyond just improving things slightly towards inventing the next thing.
And our sources frame this around two kinds of progress. It's a really helpful distinction.
Okay, let's break that down. First, there's horizontal progress, going from one to n, they call it.
Exactly. Think of it like you have one typewriter or working model and you just build 100 more. You're copying something that exists.
Easy to picture. And on a global scale, that's basically globalization, right? Taking something successful in one place and spreading it everywhere.
Precisely. But then there's the really hard one, vertical progress. That's going from 0 to 1.
0 to 1, meaning doing something completely new.
Totally new. So instead of copying the typewriter, you invent the first word processor. That's a 0 to 1 leap.
And the big picture word for that is technology. That's the engine for real change.
That's the idea. Technology, in this sense, isn't just computers. It's any new and better way of doing things.
Okay, so if 0 to 1 is where these massive breakthroughs happen, the things that really change the future, why isn't everyone trying to do that? It seems almost, illogical to stick to the 1 to n path if you want big impact.
Well, because it's incredibly hard. And frankly, it requires a kind of intellectual courage. You have to be willing to be wrong and potentially alone in your beliefs for a while.
So there's a core question guiding this whole 0 to 1 mindset.
Yes. The sources call it the contrarian question. It's simple but profound. What important truth do very few people agree with you on?
What important truth do very few people agree with you on? That sounds tricky.
It is. Most people, when asked, give answers like, our education system is broken or corporate America is too greedy.
But lots of people agree with those things. They aren't contrarian truths.
Exactly. They fail the test. A good answer has to be something genuinely unpopular right now. It often sounds like, most people believe X is true, but the reality is the opposite of X.
And that takes guts, because you're essentially betting against the crowd and saying the future will look really different.
Yes. You have to believe something fundamental about the world that isn't obvious yet.
Okay, so if we're embracing this 0 to 1 path, we need to clear away the old thinking. The sources point fingers pretty directly at the dot-com crash in 2000.
Oh, definitely. That crash left deep scars. It created this sort of conventional wisdom for startups based on avoiding the mistakes of that bubble.
Right, a set of rules born from failure, essentially. What were they?
Well, 4 main dogmas really took hold. The first was make incremental advances.
Small steps. Don't get caught up in grand visions that might blow up.
Yep, keep it safe. Second, stay lean and flexible. Planning was seen as arrogant after the crash.
So just experiment constantly. Like entrepreneurship is just throwing things at the wall.
Kind of, yeah. Be agnostic, iterate, pivot. Don't commit too hard to one plan.
Okay, third dogma.
Improve on the competition. Don't try to create a whole new market. Find an existing one, find the customers, and just offer something slightly better.
That sounds very practical.
It does. And the last one, number 4, often pushed by engineers, focus on product, not sales.
The build a better mousetrap idea. If it's truly great, customers will just find it. Advertising is a waste.
That's the belief. Viral growth should just happen if the product is 10x better.
Okay, so those 4 points, incremental steps, stay lean, beat competitors slightly, product over sales, that's the standard playbook now.
Pretty much, yeah. It's the received wisdom.
But to go 0 to 1, you argue we need to flip every single one of those on its head.
That's the core argument from the source material. You need the counter principles.
Which are?
Okay, so instead of incremental advances, risk boldness over triviality. Be ambitious.
And instead of lean and flexible.
A bad plan is better than no plan. You need direction, a definite vision.
Instead of improving on competition.
Realize that competitive markets destroy profits. You want to escape competition, not win it.
Wow, okay. And finally, instead of product over sales.
Sales matters just as much as product, maybe even more sometimes. You have to get it to people.
Let's dig into that third one. Competitive markets destroy profits. Because, that flies in the face of basic economics, right? That we're taught competition is good, it drives innovation and lowers prices.
Right. It's presented as the ideal. But here's the paradox. Capitalism is about accumulating capital, making profits. Perfect competition, where everyone offers the same thing, drives prices down until nobody makes any real economic profit.
So all the value created gets passed on to consumers or competed away between firms. Nothing is retained by the business itself long term.
Exactly. Think of it like this. In perfect competition, you're just a commodity. Price is everything.
And the sources use a stark example to illustrate this: the airline industry versus Google.
Yeah, it's incredibly telling. U.S. airlines in, say, 2012, they created hundreds of billions in value, flying millions of people. Huge industry.
But their profits were tiny, right?
Almost non-existent. They made something like 37 cents per passenger trip on average. It's brutal competition.
Okay, now compare that to Google in the same year.
Google generated less total revenue than all those airlines combined, around $50 billion. But because it was, and largely still is, a monopoly in search.
They kept a huge chunk as profit.
A huge chunk, about 21% profit margin. So Google, one company, ended up being worth 3 times more than every single U.S. airline put together.
That difference is staggering. It's all about capturing the value you create, not just creating it.
Precisely. And that's why companies play games with how they describe themselves.
What do you mean? Like hiding their true position?
Exactly. Monopolists lie to protect their monopoly. They pretend they're in a fiercely competitive market.
Right. Google doesn't say we dominate search. They say, oh, we're just a small player in the massive global advertising market.
Yep. Frame the market broadly to seem smaller and less dominant, avoiding regulatory scrutiny.
And companies stuck in brutal competition. They lie too, but in the opposite direction.
But they do the opposite. They exaggerate their uniqueness. They define their market incredibly narrowly to make themselves seem like they do have a monopoly.
Like the example of the restaurant owner claiming they dominate the niche market for, what was it, British food in Palo Alto?
Right, ignoring the fact that they're really competing with every restaurant nearby. It's a way to feel unique even when you're struggling in a sea of competitors.
This feels a bit uncomfortable, though. Are we saying monopolies are actually good? Doesn't that lead to price gouging and stagnation?
That's the crucial distinction the sources make. It's about creative monopolies. One's built by inventing something new, that 0 to 1 step.
Okay, so what's the benefit?
A creative monopoly, because it has profits beyond just day-to-day survival, can actually afford to think long-term. It can invest in ambitious R&D, treat its employees well, even consider ethics beyond the bottom line.
Because they aren't constantly fighting for survival on razor-thin margins like the companies in perfect competition.
Exactly. For competitive business, money isn't just important, it's everything right now. A monopoly has breathing room. Think Google's old "don't be evil" motto. Whether they lived up to it is debatable, but only a company with monopoly profits could even plausibly consider making that a central tenet.
So the goal isn't just to be the first company in a space.
No, the real goal is to be the last mover, to make the final great development in a specific market and enjoy years, even decades, of monopoly profits that result from that breakthrough.
And how do you achieve that last mover status?
Almost always, the strategy is start small and monopolize. Don't try to take over the world on day one.
Find a tiny niche you can completely dominate first.
Yes. Like Amazon. They didn't start selling everything. They started just with books. It was a specific, underserved market niche they could dominate. Then they expanded.
Or Facebook, starting just with Harvard students, a very small, very specific pond.
Exactly. Dominate that small pond completely, then gradually expand to adjacent ponds. That's the path to sustainable scale and, potentially, that last mover advantage.
Okay, so you have the 0 to 1 mindset. You've identified your small starting monopoly. What's next? The source material really emphasizes planning. A definite plan.
Yes. This is a big countercurrent to the modern lean startup ethos. It pushes back against what's called indefinite optimism.
Indefinite optimism, meaning
Believing the future will be better, but having absolutely no specific plan for how to make it better. Just trusting that things will somehow work out.
and this leads to what? Hedging bets.
It leads to what the sources call many-sided mediocrity. Think about students trying to build the perfect diverse resume for any possible future because they don't know what future they want to build. They keep all options open forever.
Process over substance, hoping to benefit from the future without actually designing it.
Exactly. Contrast that with definite optimism, believing the future can be better and having a concrete plan to make it so.
Like the Apollo program, or building the Golden Gate Bridge, or huge infrastructure projects. They had specific, ambitious goals and plans.
Yes. They believed they could shape the future through deliberate action. And a startup, arguably, is the biggest project where you can still have that definite plan and control.
And when you make those definite plans, you inevitably encounter this really strange mathematical reality. The power law?
Ah, yes, the power law. This is so crucial and so counterintuitive for most people.
Because we're trained to think in terms of bell curves, normal distributions, where differences are usually small and clustered around the average.
Right. But the power law says that in many important domains, technology, business, investing distributions are wildly unequal. A tiny number of things account for the vast majority of the results. Think 80-20 rule, but often much more extreme, like 991.
Okay, so how does this apply? The sources use venture capital as a prime example.
Yes, the biggest, best-kept secret in VC is that the single best investment in a successful fund typically outperforms the entire rest of the fund combined.
Wow. So one company, that one true 0 to 1 success, delivers more return than all the other investments, even the moderately successful ones.
Pretty much. Most of the portfolio, even if it doesn't fail, doesn't really move a needle compared to that one huge winner. The differences are that skewed.
And the implication for individuals is huge. If life follows a power law,
Then diversification is the wrong strategy for you. Your life isn't a VC fund. You can't make hundreds of small bets on yourself.
you have to focus. Find the one thing where you have the potential for that kind of outlier success and commit to it relentlessly.
Exactly. Don't try to be well-rounded in a power law world. Double down on your unique strength or opportunity. For a startup founder, that means the company has to be that one bet.
And the thing you bet on, the thing you pursue with that definite plan, needs to be built around a secret, that contrarian truth again.
Yes, a great company is built around a secret, something important that others don't see or don't believe yet.
But why do people find it so hard to believe there are secrets left? It feels like everything's been discovered or explored.
Well, several factors work against it. There's incrementalism, education rewards, small, safe steps, not giant leaps into the unknown.
There's risk aversion. People are afraid of being wrong, looking foolish, being alone in their ideas.
Complacency, too. People get comfortable. And then there's this idea driven by globalization, this sort of flat world concept.
That if a secret existed, someone smarter somewhere else in the world would have found it already.
Right. It discourages searching. But the sources insist secrets do exist. You just have to know where and how to look.
And there are different kinds.
Two main types. Secrets about nature, the undiscovered physical world, scientific truths, and secrets about people, things people don't know about themselves, or things they actively try to hide.
Where's a good place to hunt for these secrets?
Look where others aren't looking systematically. The sources suggest areas that are important but haven't been fully mapped or institutionalized yet, like nutrition, hugely important to everyone, every day, but still full of competing theories and likely undiscovered truths compared to, say, physics.
Okay, so you find your secret, you have your definite plan, but we need to come back to that final counter dogma. Sales matters, distribution.
Yes, you can have the best secret, the best 0 to 1 product, but if you can't sell it, if you can't distribute it, you don't have a business. You just have a cool project.
And this often clashes with engineer sensibilities, right?
Right.
The idea that sales is somehow less important or less honest than building the thing.
It definitely can. There's often a bias against it. But selling, distribution, it's not an add-on. It has to be baked into the thinking from the start. How will this reach the people who need it?
And distribution, like everything else we've discussed, also follows a power law.
It absolutely does. Most businesses fail not because they try a few distribution channels poorly, but because they get 0 channels to work effectively.
0, that's harsh.
It is. The key isn't to dabble in everything. A bit of online marketing, a few sales calls, maybe some content. The key is to find one channel that works for your specific product and market, and then focus relentlessly on mastering that single channel.
Whether that's complex, high-touch sales for million-dollar deals, or personal sales for mid-range software, or finding true viral marketing for a consumer app.
Exactly. Get one channel right, and you probably have a great business. Get 0 right, and you're almost certainly doomed no matter how good the product is.
Wow. Okay, this whole deep dive, it's really been about pushing back against the standard way of thinking. Rejecting competition as the ideal, embracing monopoly, focusing on definite plans over flexibility, recognizing the power law, seeking secrets.
And understanding that sales and distribution are just as critical as the product itself. It's a complete framework for trying to build something truly new and valuable, that 0 to 1 leap. escaping the herd.
So as a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on, the sources suggest something quite provocative about secrets. Telling absolutely nobody is useless and telling everybody is foolish.
The golden mean, they suggest, is starting a company around your secret. A great company becomes a kind of conspiracy, a conspiracy to change the world, built around a truth hidden from the outside.
Which leads to the ultimate challenge, really. If you're starting that conspiracy, who do you trust? Who do you bring inside?
That choice of your founding team, your initial hires, your fellow conspirators is absolutely critical. Because a company that's fundamentally broken at the start, with misalignment on that core secret or vision, well, the argument is it can't really be fixed later.
So think about that contrarian truth you might hold. What hidden paths will you explore? We hope this deep dive gives you some frameworks to consider.